Okay. So how many hours I spend in nature every day?
30 minutes on average a day in nature.
An hour tops.
2-3 hours a week in nature, if I'm lucky.
2 to 3 hours.
I spend 0 hours in nature every day.
Depends on the weather, but I probably spend about an hour and a half in nature every day.
In front of a screen, ooh.
Probably about 4 hours.
6 hours in front of a screen every day.
20 hours maybe.
Between my cell phone, the TV.
2 hours in nature, and then the rest of the time is in front of a screen.
I have so much screen time in school because it's the 21st century and there's a bunch of computers and technology like that that's available to us, so we use it for educational purposes. But if I finish my lunch quickly enough, I can go outside for about 10 minutes.
As we start becoming more and more distant from nature, what we're really doing is becoming more and more distant from life itself.
The days of just messing around out in the woods are I mean, I wouldn't say they're done, but the, finding awe and wonder in nature has become more difficult for kids for one reason or another. The bar for entertainment has been raised so much that it's just frankly not very exciting to be out in the woods anymore. People that are shaped like slugs sitting and drinking out of soda cups and unable to move is a little closer to real than I think anybody wants to admit. And then another question entirely is like, how is it that the masses, that the public is like unable to see that or unwilling to see it, right? I think we're in denial that WALL-E could really happen. Maybe it's the height of the trash piles or something, I don't know.
With the ease of having a smartphone or a cell phone and being able to connect, that you pay less attention to your environment. And I don't think that's a good thing. 20 years ago, it would have been far more likely to see kids playing baseball, kickball, football, soccer, outside, tag, kick the can, etc. And that today, it seems to me that they'll get together and that at any given moment, every single one of them, even though they're in the presence of the outside and of nature and of their friends, would be more likely to be looking at their phone.
There's an author, his name's Richard Louv, and he wrote a book, Last Child in the Woods, and kind of coined this term, nature deficit disorder. And it's not technically like a real disorder, but it really does speak to the heart of what children in particular are facing, which is what happens when you grow up in a life of disconnect from the natural world around you. And some of the sort of obvious things are, this lack of exercise and maybe obesity and things, but really it goes more into the psychological kind of components.
I see it all the time in the after-school programs that we run. The kids that sit at their desks all day long, and then we get them and we take them outside. We have to literally run them for 30 minutes without stopping so that they can get all this energy out because they're cooped up inside all day, and they're kind of crazy.
In the world of tracking, they say that the context creates all meaning. So, you go to look for a print, but a print's really kind of like nothing without the container that holds it. So, Primitive Pursuits is in the context of, the world we live in here. Happened to be in upstate New York in a little town called Ithaca, but really it tries to address something that is national, certainly, and you know, maybe beyond that, just kind of a product of modern culture in general. So a normal day in the world of primitive pursuits may start with instructors, you know, kind of driving to a location to meet families who are going to be dropping their kids off and stopping the car on the side of the road because there was a fresh deer that had been hit. And most people would kind of drive by and maybe they think it's sad, maybe they think it's gross. And we're like, that's resources right there. You know, that's a hide that we can turn into leather. Tools that we can make from that. So, you know, maybe we give a call to the DEC officer and get a tag to pick this up, and you know, we take it on our way and get to the program. And the plan really wasn't to work with this animal, but that's what the world gave us. So that's what we work with. Maybe we get a fire going, practice some kind of skills of, say, hand drill, bow drill, friction fires. Maybe some of the kids are working on building shelters, and this time of year harvesting the hickory nuts or the walnuts that are falling. Some of them may have no interest in working with this dead deer, which would be fine, and they can go do their own thing. Some of them are very excited to, and they go for it.
So with this group, the biggest priorities when we first get them after school, number one is getting them out and just not giving them a lot of structured time. Just letting them play, letting them explore, and just have free time.
That's it.
That's right.
As soon as they're done playing and we have our opening circle, which kind of grounds them, we get some food in their bellies, and then we can focus on other stuff.
Please make sure it's like in this general area. You don't want to be So once you have a tree picked out, I'm going to take Justin and I'm going to head Justin that tree. But I'm not going to pick one that's super close because I'm trying to make this challenging. So I'm going to take Justin and I'm going to carefully lead him through the woods. And I already have a tree in my mind. It's right here. Then Justin is then going to use all of his senses that he can think of. What do you think he might use? Because he's going to need to find his way back to this tree. So, smell. Awesome. What else?
He can't use his vision.
He can't use his vision.
I mean, when you're sitting in a classroom, I mean, it's mostly about just paying attention to one thing, whereas in nature, I may be working on a hide, but I'll constantly have to pay attention, or else I might miss a deer that's walking by, I might miss a bird that's flying above, so it keeps you aware. It's so peaceful in nature. I mean, with the primitive skills school of thought, it's more about relaxing, calming down, and that facilitates better learning in anything. But really in nature, it's a lot more peaceful. You get to notice a lot more when you calm down. So I guess it's about being able to relax for real.
A lot of the skills are grounded in survival in and of itself. You know, how to stay alive with just what the earth provides you, but also it's practical in a sense that it's really empowering to have this knowledge of being not self-sufficient but self-reliant, about I can provide my own shelter, my own clothing, my own food just from the land base around me without having that, you know, dependency on other entities.
The first time that I met with these kids, and again, they're 3 to 5 year olds, I was like, how many of you guys have been in the woods? And they're like, no, I hate being outside. I hate it. I don't want to be outside. It's the worst. And this program started in September, and it's now almost November. And this past week, we had kids crying on their way to go back inside because they were like, I don't want to be inside. I just want to sit outside and stay with you guys and be out here. And for me, that was the most meaningful moment of you are totally changing the way that you're thinking about the outside world through just being outside and experiencing it.
I think it's just so important for kids to get outside and for people to be connected to the world around them. I am not really optimistic about where a lot of people are going with technology, and not that technology is bad, but people are so plugged in and focused. I mean, if you want to take an example from the modern world, the other day I saw this on the CNN news website. There was a shooting on a subway car and no one saw it because everyone was looking at their smartphone. And that right there in and of itself highlights the disconnect of people from their surroundings. And if people are that oblivious, they're going to be oblivious from their land base. And that oblivion is what allows the destructive practices of this culture to continue. And so primitive skills is a way of bringing people back to the earth and empowering people also to be able to meet their needs with their own two hands. Being able to make fire just with sticks in the woods, being able to make their own clothing from a deer that they found or killed or any other animal, or being able to look at the ground and say, okay, well, I can eat that, that's medicine, that's poisonous. It's just about having that connection, that appreciation and that awareness, because without that, the destructive patterns of this culture are allowed to continue.
What they're talking about is a major cultural change, and what this small organization, Primitive Pursuits, gets done with what it has at its disposal is astounding. I mean, the extent of the impact that they've had is really impressive. But can they do that alone? Will Primitive Pursuits alone combat nature deficit disorder? Well, they're certainly making a lot of headway, but it would be good, I think, to have a more broad-based effort.
When I ask my students, how many students spent time playing just outside in the woods growing up, the number of people that had that experience is just getting less and less all the time. We're turning into a society where nature is becoming like a museum, that in a museum you stand away from the art and you look at it, and there's a fence around the sculptures and it says don't touch, this sort of thing. And I think that's how even the people who go out in it are starting to behave towards it. You don't touch it, it's meant to be looked at. The leave no trace philosophy is it's not to be interacted with in any way, shape, or form. Stay on the trail. And while all those things are good in certain situations, it starts to create what I think is an unhealthy relationship with kind of what's our heritage as an animal in this world.
We should all do ourselves a favor and take some time off from technology and visit a park. Go on a walk. Go see Yosemite. Go see Watkins Glen. These are beautiful places, and it has a profound effect on your view of the world